For the 12th time in NNSCRA Snickers Cup Series history, we are ready to go racing here in the Great American Race Daytona 500. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we get ready for one of the most prestigious races in Snickers Cup Series history. We are ready here for the 12th annual run of the Daytona 500, 100 laps of racing, and we're going to see who's going to add their name to the likes of Trent Whitney, Logan Wilson, James McLeod, Levi McIntyre, Barney Ward. There are a lot of drivers in this field that are trying to go to victory lane in this prestigious event for the second time in their career. McLeod and Logan Wilson, as I mentioned, also Levi McIntyre, Trent Dunham. They're all trying to see if they can take the checkered flag for an unprecedented second time. We have had 11 different Daytona 500s, 11 different Daytona 500 winners. Will we see our first repeat winner here today? Only time will tell. Ty Dent was the fastest driver in his duel. That qualified him for the pole position for this Great American Race. Philip Goldberg, making his Snickers Cup Series debut, lines up alongside. He is going to be starting in second after he ended up winning Budweiser Duel number 2. A lot of drivers are making their Snickers Cup Series debut. A lot of seasoned veterans in here as well. Only 19 drivers came into this Daytona 500 knowing that they had guaranteed spots in this 500 starting grid. The other ones had to make it in, 10 of them on speed. The other remaining drivers had to make it in the Budweiser duels, and it gave us our 42 car field for today's race. Who is going to win the Great American Race? I can't wait to find out. Let's go down trackside now and fire up the engines and get this race underway. Command to fire the engines has been given. The pace car will peel off, and on the bottom of your screen we will show you the 42 car starting lineup for today's Great American Race. "42 drivers failed to make the Daytona 500. Those 42 took part in the first ever Daytona 250, in which we saw Joshua Michaels win a 3-wide battle to the line. With that victory, Joshua Michaels securing himself a spot in this field in the 13th annual Daytona 500. Keep in mind, too, if a driver wins the Daytona 500 here today, they would lock themselves into next year's starting grid as well, being a former Daytona 500 winner. That's the only way that you're basically able to get into the 500 and be guaranteed a spot, is be a former NNSCRA champion or a former winner of the Great American Race. A couple of drivers were able to do that under both qualification. Trent Dunham, a former Truck Series and Mobile Cup Series champion, as well as a former Daytona 500 winner. James McLeod, former Mobile Cup Series champion, and also a former winner of the Great American Race. There are a few drivers that are former champions of this series that are back for one time only in this race. Ryan Cooper, former champion in the trucks. Same for Gene Sanford, former Truck Series champ. And you've also got Oriole Pollard, a former Truck Series champion that's in this field. Some big names starting at the rear of the field, and it's not because they had to go to backup cars. It's basically because they finished way at the back of the field in their respective duels. You got Logan Wilson, Levi McIntyre, Jessica Shelton all near the rear of the field. It'll be interesting to see how soon they'll be able to make their way towards the front. Pace car peels off. We're ready to go racing. 100 laps await us. Ty Dent and Philip Goldberg will get the 12th annual Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500 underway. We are green flag racing. Already some drivers peeking out of line. The 24 of Cooper, the 20 of Mason Powers, the 55 of Joseph Srigley, as they all start to find their dancing partners here. Giving each other room here in 3-wide formation. This track can hold them 3 by 3 by 3 as far back as they want to go. 4 wide's a little bit iffy. This isn't Talladega. They can go 4 wide at Dega, but Daytona is a little sketchy. They have been able to go 4 wide and keep it together, but it has to be a roomy 4 wide. More often than not, it's a very tight 4 wide that you end up seeing here at Daytona's. They're 3 wide back there. Cooper, Seth Cole, and his teammate Dylan Poteet as Ty Dent will lead the first lap of the race. Levi McIntyre, Jessica Shelton way back there. Levi McIntyre could be in danger of losing the draft. He might not want to be that far back, but I think he's anticipating a wreck taking place here very soon. As here comes Juan Hernandez to the inside line, going to the front in his very first Snickers Cup Series start. And Ryan Cooper's got some friends down low. He's coming with a full head of steam. He's got Gene Sanford, Joseph Wrigley, and Zachary Fitzwater pushing him to the front. 3 wide for the lead. 3 wide, about 6-7 rows deep here from front to back. Didn't take him long to get racy. Who's going to lead this lap? It's Ty Dent by a splitter, beating out his Hendrick Motorsports teammate. We'll bring up your ticker here. You can see it was in the thousands that Ty Dent beat Ryan Cooper by. Inside line now trying to prevail, but middle and outside lines are both hanging tough. I want to thank... Oh, wait a minute. Before I say this, we may end up having a 4-wide situation. Philip Goldberg moving to the high side. There's still 4 wide up here at the front of the field. Goldberg's trying to let Ty Dent in. He did, and we avoid a drastic situation just there at the front of the field. That was close. And Cooper's going to win out this time at the line. But I want to thank Napa Fan for the suggestion of this track. I ended up seeing him run a race here, and they had really good racing. As you can see, it's bringing out some really good racing here in the Daytona 500. So thank him for the suggestion of this track. Really appreciate it. I also want to give a shout-out thank you to Mr. Norm. He ended up giving me a tip as far as being able to adjust the graphics on the cars. And the quality you can see on the cars is much, much better than it has been in past Snickers Cup Series races. So I want to thank him for that little bit of a tip. Very easy I&I changes. So thank you to Mr. Norm for that. 3 wide again at the line. Which line prevails this time? The outside line with Ty Dent. They have been photo finishing 3 wide for the past 3 laps. Ty Dent has won 2 of those exchanges. Ryan Cooper's won 1. Juan Hernandez, caught in the middle, hasn't won any. But that middle line still has enough momentum to keep up here with the inside and outside line. And we've managed to go 5 laps of this kind of racing without a caution, so feeling pretty doggone good about that. That outside line, though, man, gets a heck of a run down the back straightaway. Then the inside line counters it through 3 and 4. Now let's see who's going to get the preferred run off the corner. Outside line gets the momentum at the line. It looks like Ty Dent may lead another lap. Yes, he does. Man, this is some good racing. 41 of the 42 cars are still in the lead pack. Levi McIntyre has lost the draft. Now, I think he was expecting they were going to be wrecking, and that would have given him ample time to be able to slow down. But right now, they're racing hard, but they're racing clean, and that is not what Levi McIntyre needs. Oh, no. Not 4 wide again. Philip Goldberg jumped up to the outside line again, and they're 4 wide once more. Cooper, Hernandez, Dent, and Goldberg. Can Goldberg let Dent back in again? This time he's going to try. And he did. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Dylan Poteet. Oh, he almost made it 4 wide with Goldberg. Holy cow. That was way too close for comfort. Way too close. And it's scary enough to see him going 4 wide, but to go 4 wide up here at the front of the field, you know there's going to be drivers that are going to be innocent bystanders. There'll be innocent victims caught up in it if a wreck takes place up the front of the field. There's no way that drivers are going to be able to avoid it. As close as they're racing, the speeds they are running, almost 200 miles an hour down the back straightaway, just one little mess-up can end the day of several drivers. As Ryan Cooper now gets kicked to the middle line, Gene Sanford says, I'm going to take a turn down low. But she's not going to be able to get the momentum either on the inside line. Ty Dent still with the help of Philip Goldberg. That outside line's been really good down the back straightaway and the front straightaway in the tri-oval. And Ty Dent will remain in the lead, and now it's like he's going to leave his buddy Philip Goldberg. Well, nope, now he moves back up to the high side to help the high line. Goldberg's been his best ally, but kind of lost touch with the 40s. Oh, no, oh, no. Goldberg's gonna dive low. Srigley's gonna try and go underneath Gene Sanford there. 4 wide again. Srigley, Sanford, Goldberg, and Denton. I don't see anybody being able to back out of 4 this time. Oh, this is not going to end well. They're going to wreck. There they go. Gene Sanford into the wall. Along with Ty Denton, Goldberg. Others sliding in. Ian Dutta. Juan Hernandez. Dylan Poteet's involved. And there's more. Believe me, there have to be more. Drivers scattering through the grass to avoid. There's Goldberg, Poteet, Hernandez, Gene Sanford. Nicholas Romero's on the inside. Levi McIntyre gets through it. Trent Dunham might have been involved. Sam Rogers is damaged. And Joseph Srigley after that is the leader under our first caution. And oh, I think they started backing into each other here. Romero diving to the apron. Levi McIntyre, oh no, I think they're just actually getting their spots back after they cross the stripe. Pichu London's got some right side damage on the cheese at Ford. Gene Sanford, Dylan Poteet running the apron along with Hernandez, outside pole sitter, Philip Goldberg. I would think the 5 cars got damaged. Oh, slow down, slow down, slow down. Oh no, Austin the Plant runs in the back of Logan Wilson, who ran into the back of Jacob Lawler. Oreo Pollard just ran into the back of somebody. Galligan ran into the back of Norman. Norman was into the back of William Brock. Ah, that's the one bad thing about Daytona. They never slow down when they're getting ready for getting in line in the pacing laps of the back straightaway. Trent Dunham is running to the back of somebody now. The hood is badly mangled up on the Daytona USA Chevrolet, former winner of this event. It's bad enough you have drivers retiring from the race because they've gotten involved in a wreck, but it's really bad when they retire due to being involved in a stack-up like that. Jessica Shelton, Seth Cole have both run into the back of somebody. Their hood's all crunched up. I think Shelton ran into the back of the 30. Srigley down and away. Very quick pit stop for the 55, and I think he's going to come out as the leader. Although Levi McIntyre stayed out, as did Romero. Oh, we got a couple drivers that stayed out. Fitzwater will be the new leader over Qualls, Carson Gum, James McLeod, and Aaron Henderson, all deciding to stay out. So we're under caution for the first time here today at Daytona. The caution flag coming out, I believe it was on lap number 9. Well, actually, it was actually on lap number 8, coming to complete lap 8 and going on to lap number 9. Current leader Zachary Fitzwater, with some drivers deciding to stay out, other drivers deciding to pit. Let's take a look at what brought out. It was really hard to see a situation that could be in any way good after seeing them 4 wide coming out of turn 4. There you see it. Philip Goldberg is going to get Gene Sanford in the right rear. Up into the wall. Pole sitter Ty Dent, nowhere to go. There's Juan Hernandez getting involved. Cody Lamas got a piece of it. Dougie Shears. Qualls just barely avoided. Dylan Poteet, Nicholas Romero did get a piece of it. And then they stacked up behind him there. Michael Norman, Sean Galligan. And we'll jump back there and see that stack up in just a moment. Poteet, I think, oh, he then got clipped by the 32. That sent him straight up into the safer barrier. Ow, that's a hard hit. Ian Dutta gets a piece of Gene Sanford right there, and then he's going to get a piece of the 32. Oh, there was a car on the inside there on the left side. That's Sam Rogers spinning down towards pit road. Oh, Austin Mongold got a piece of that right there in the 60. So did Mason Powers in the 20. Oh, wow, that was a hard hit there for the 20 of Mason Powers. Sent the 27 up in the air for a moment. And then Mongold also hits the 32 of Juan Hernandez. Let's go to the 40 of, or the 44 rather, of Galligan. I guess this is where Trent Dunham and Pichu London and others get involved. This is what sends Sam Rogers down towards the pit road area. Now, as the wreck's happening ahead of him, everybody stacks up. Norman's into the back of Galligan. Galligan's into the back of Jones as everybody's trying to slow down. Sanford's got Lawler in the back of him. Trent Dunham's in the back of Logan Wilson. The whole outside line just is on the brakes, and as the momentum's killed, everybody just starts turning everybody. McLeod gets a piece of it there. Charles Sanford hits Sam Rogers rather, in the right side. Then he goes off the nose of Zach Rogers. And there you see back there Trent Dunham, Austin the Plant, Pichu London all sliding through. Logan Wilson slid up and hit the outside wall a little bit there in the 33. I don't think the 81 of Sam Young hit the wall. He might have, though. I didn't see the contact, but he might have. I think there was a little bit of contact there between the 15 of O'Neal Baldwin and the 46 of Philip Goldberg, but I'm not exactly certain about that either. So that is what put us under the caution. In all honesty, it could have been a whole lot worse, especially in the area that it took place. A lot of cars spinning more than anything, but it was enough to bring out the caution. The big one pretty much striking here early. The pace car's lights are out. That's the indication. We'll go back green flag racing on lap 13 of 100. Zachary Fitzwater, along with 7 other drivers, decided to stay out under this caution flag. So they will undoubtedly have to come to pit road if the thing goes into a long green flag run about 10 laps sooner than everybody else wriggly on back. Your top 10 as we go back to green. Zachary Fitzwater is the leader. Second place, James Qualls. Carson Gum third. James McLeod fourth. Aaron Henderson now fifth. Sixth place, Nicholas Romero and Levi McIntyre seventh. Those drivers stayed out. First to pit and first off pit road was Joseph Srigley. He'll restart in eighth. Ninth place, the defending winner of this event, James Silverfox. And completing the top 10 is Emmett Juckin. 11th, Tim Walsh. 12th will be Davey Johnson. 13th, Ian Dutta. 14th, Bob Jones. 15th, Chris Dollerton. 16th, John Cittadino. 17th, Ty Dent. Rest of your top 20 will be Cody Lamas, O'Neal Baldwin, and Dougie Shears. We got time for a full field rundown. Why don't we do that? Mason Powers will restart 21st. 22nd, Oriel Pollard. 23rd is Charles Samper. 24th, Sean Galligan. William Brock, 25th. 26th, Pichu London. 27th, Seth Cole, hoodless. 28th plates Callum Wood. 29th will be Zach Rogers. Jessica Shelton, also without a hood, will restart in 30th. 31st, Austin LaPlante. 32nd, Michael Norman. 33rd, Jacob Lawler. Ryan Cooper, 34th. 35th, Austin Mongold, and Sam Rogers will be the last car to complete the field in 36th place, which means we had 6 drivers retire from the race after everything that took place. Very short runs in this Daytona 500 for debuting Juan Hernandez, Philip Goldberg as well. Gene Sanford and Logan Wilson coming back for one time only. They're out of the race in 40th, 41st. Dylan Poteet out of the race in 38th, and Trent Dunham, who a couple seasons ago experienced the glory of victory lane, will finish dead last here today in the Daytona 500. So maybe the start of a new Daytona 500 curse for Trent Dunham. James Qualls wasting absolutely no time going to work on Zachary Fitzwater, and he'll go to the front. Qualls was hoping that his teammate Nathan Hudson would have been able to qualify his way into this Daytona 500, so that way the two Mercedes-Benz would have been able to work together, but that was unfortunately not the case. So it's up to James Qualls to try and get Mercedes their very first Daytona 500 victory. Joseph Srigley is the highest up driver on fresh tires. He was the first driver to come to pit road. And he right now has worked his way up. I believe now he's in the 6th position. He's got Tim Walsh helping him in the 21. And now he'll go 3 wide. That's for 3rd with the 11 of Henderson and the 84 of Nicholas Romero, as James Qualls has Carson Gum on his back bumper helping him down the back straightaway. And now Nicholas Romero will step out of line. As it is terrible to see drivers get damaged machines, 2 things I have to state. 1, those first 10 laps were pretty doggone awesome. 3 wide from the front of the field all the way back, and they held it for a good portion of the race. So gotta give props there. You knew something was gonna probably happen, but the fact they made it as far as they did without an incident occurring was pretty doggone impressive. Secondly, as far as the drivers that finished out of the race, they were drivers that were involved in the wreck. There were drivers who ended up getting involved in stack-ups both on the back straightaway and on the entrance to pit road. They are damaged, but they have been able to continue. So at least innocent victims that were involved in stack-ups like that did not retire from the event. It was merely drivers that received significant damage in the wreck that took place out of turn 4 in our first caution. The field has definitely broken up now. This is a far sight from what we saw earlier with 3 wide all the way through the field. Right now, we got Nicholas Romero leading. Then you go back here to currently scored 11th place, Chris Dollerton. You got Levi McIntyre. He's lost the draft a little bit there in 12th. Remember, he had actually lost the draft at the start of this race. Was back in 42nd. The fact he's up here in 12th is actually quite an accomplishment. And then you jump back here, and that's where you find Zach Rogers and a second group of drivers. William Brock, Charles Stanford, Juckin, Balvin, Oreo Pollard, Ty Dent, John Citadino, Ian Dutta, Sean Galligan, Lawler, Cooper trying to keep up with this. James Silverfox is up here. Silverfox actually restarted up inside the top 10. He's actually got some right side damage. I don't know if he got involved in something just a moment ago or not. But the field has definitely broken up, and here you see more of the wounded machines. Michael Norman, who was in the stack up on the high side after the accident out of 4. Jessica Shelton, Seth Cole, who I'm assuming ran into the back. I think Shelton ran into the back of Seth Cole. I'm not certain who Seth Cole ran into the back of. Coming to pit road, you got Callum Wood here, badly damaged on the 94. And then you come back here to the leaders. Tim Walsh, now the new leader of this race in the Wood Brothers number 21 Motorcraft Ford. Well, actually, I shouldn't say it's Wood Brothers. That's actually a Ford out of Gibbs Walter Manny's Racing, believe it or not. But that's the case. James Qualls back to the inside for the lead, and even though it's a smaller group up front, they're definitely getting racy. Davey Johnson gonna look to the inside, 3 wide on Qualls. Qualls trying to get down there and block, but he's not gonna be able to. Davey Johnson is to his left rear. And Davey Johnson will now try going for the lead. Carson Gum looking to maybe go 4 wide. Whoa, 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 whoa! Davey Johnson nearly turned James Qualls. And now Davey Johnson bumper grabs off the 70. He's going to bring it back up the racetrack, and oh my goodness, that was close. What a tremendous save by Davey Johnson. But oh my goodness. He nearly turns James Qualls just past the start-finish line. And then I think they kind of locked bumpers or something. It looked like some bumper grab, and the 77 shoots down towards the infield grass of turn 1. Qualls manages to keep his car straight and out in front, and Davey Johnson does a tremendous job of bringing it back up on track. He loses a ton of momentum, though. He has slipped a long ways back. There he is. He was 11th last time by. He was actually battling in 3rd, and now he's back to 24th. But he could have been a wrecked race car. That was a tremendous save by Davey Johnson. And we almost had our second caution of the day right there, too. My word. Well, they thought about 4 wide back there with Srigley, Henderson, Jones, and Gum, but they think better of it. The lead will get swapped around again. Tim Walsh enjoying the view. Now has the 70 of Qualls, who is inside. See which line prevails this time at the line. Romero goes up to help the outside line, and it will be Tim Walsh who will lead that lap. So right now in the lead pack, you got Tim Walsh, James Qualls, Nicholas Romero, Aaron Henderson, Joseph Srigley, Zachary Fitzwater, Bob Jones, Carson Gum, James McLeod, and Chris Dollerton. Only one of those drivers has been to victory lane in the Daytona 500, and that's James McLeod. He ended up winning the Daytona 500 back in the 5th annual Great American Race. As far as car numbers that have won the 500, of course, McLeod would also fit into that category. He ended up winning the Great American Race when he drove the 51. However, the 43 has also been to victory lane in the 500 when Barney Ward ended up winning back in, I think that was season, I want to say season 6. It's either season 6 or season 7. And then whichever one the 43 won, the 55 then won the other one. And that was Charles Sanford who was driving that machine at the time. The 55 under the pilotship of Joseph Srigley right now scored unofficially in the 7th position. You think about Joseph Srigley, the fact that he's running here up at the front's got to feel so good for him, because his situation in the Budweiser Duel #1 to qualify his way into the race, he just barely squeaked his way into this event, beating out Johnny Gardner by a splitter at the line when they came to the checkered flag. We're going to step aside for a quick commercial break. Tim Walsh, Nicholas Romero battling for the lead here in the Great American Race. You're watching the 12th annual Daytona 500. Welcome back to live coverage of the 12th annual NNSCRA Snickers Cup Series Great American Race Daytona 500. Tim Walsh is your current leader, ahead of Aaron Henderson. The front of the field a little bit split up as they had to maneuver their way around slower machines. Since the commercial break, Seth Cole, Callum Wood, Jessica Shelton, Michael Norman have all fallen a lap down to the leaders. All of them caught up in the melee that took place in the early portion of this race. We've only had one caution flag that came out on lap 8. Number of drivers were collected, and I believe 6 drivers have DNF'd from the race up to this point. There you can see back through the top 10. 10th place Chris Dollerton, the maroon BB&T Chevrolet, runs in 10th place. Everybody there on your grid is your top 10 at the current moment. They're all now single file, getting ready to bunch back up after maneuvering their way past said slow traffic. Before they reached the slower machines, the lead was being passed around between Tim Walsh and James Qualls, and now Nicholas Romero, who's had a turnout in front as well today, will move into the 2nd position. Bob Jones looking for 3rd. Let's take a look and see where our former Daytona 500 winners are currently running. The highest running of them right now would be James McLeod, the Season 5 Great American Race winner, running currently in the 8th position. James McLeod trying to get Tweenix Racing its 3rd win in Daytona 500 history. McLeod and Trent Dunham, the only 2 that have put Tweenix in Daytona International Speedway victory lane. We got to go a ways back before we find Charles Sanford, but he's running still very solidly in the 13th position, working right now with William Brock. Charles Sanford ended up winning this race in a Toyota, but now trying to win it in a Chevrolet, and looking good. Now they've caught up to the Dodge Dart of Zach Rogers. They'll try and see if they can catch up to the top 10. That's 11th, 12th, 13th running right there. Move further back, there is Levi McIntyre, who started this race at the tail end of the field. Right now running solidly in the 15th position. Great run for him. When he went to victory lane the 500, which I believe it was in Season 8, he did it in a Ford, driving for his own team at the time of Heavy Metal Motorsports. In a Ford yet again, and we'll see what he can do as he's trying to win his 2nd Daytona 500. Jacob Lawler right now scored in the 19th position, battling with today's pole sitter, Ty Dent. Jacob Lawler ended up winning his Daytona 500 back in the 4th Great American Race under very unusual circumstances when the Ward brothers got together and he ended up coming around to take the victory. Toyota has only one Daytona 500 win in history. That was Charles Sanford, who put Toyota in victory lane. Jacob Lawler trying to become the 2nd Toyota to win the Great American Race, and, as I said, trying to become the first repeat winner of the Daytona 500. Move further back here, and We gotta go quite a ways back before we find James Silverfox. He's all the way back in the 36th position. As a matter of fact, he might be. Yes, he is. The last car on the lead lap at this point. Matter of fact, we're actually getting word that James Silverfox, during the commercial break, came down pit road, and it wasn't exactly an unscheduled pit stop. It was a scheduled pit stop. You'll notice that the right side of his machine looks pretty good right now. That's because he had received some right side damage from an earlier incident. They finally decided to bring him down pit road. Apparently that was affecting his car aerodynamically, and so therefore he gave up a lot of track position, came down pit road, got it fixed, and is back on track. But he may end up paying dearly for that, because he could fall a lap down to the leaders, who are very quickly reeling him in. The only other Daytona 500 winner that is currently not on track, although two Daytona 500 winners actually, they're not on track. They have retired from the race already. Logan Wilson, 41st, the very first ever Daytona 500 winner, and Trent Dunham, who ended up winning the very last Daytona 500, in which there was a full Snickers Cup Series season, Season 10, finishing out this Great American Race in last place. Nicholas Romero out in front right now. It's really been three cars that have taken and swapped the lead around since we went back green. Three dominant cars at this point have been Nicholas Romero, Tim Walsh, who now dives back to the inside, and the Mercedes-Benz of James Qualls. Not to say that these other drivers up here in the top 10 haven't been here, but it's not exactly been their priority to get to the front as it has been for the three I just mentioned. Also want to point out James Qualls, Davey Johnson, they're both running still on the lead lap. Before we went to commercial break, we had a bit of a skirmish between those two just around in this portion of the racetrack, and we nearly ended up having our second wreck at the front of the field. But they were able to keep it together, and we are still green flag racing. Let's actually update where the 77 of Davey Johnson currently is running at. And he's a ways back here. There he is. Right now scored in the 21st position. He's got a couple of former NNSCRA champions reeling him in. Sean Galligan, John Cittadino, along with the Toyota of Ian Dutta. But the good thing for Davey Johnson is he's not damaged. He merely lost momentum and lost the draft of the lead pack, which is why he's slipped back so far. But he is still up to speed as far as we know. Speaking of up to speed, Seth Cole is not. And the leaders just caught up to him. Romero gets around, Tim Walsh gets around, and now they're going to split him three wide. Seth Cole badly damaged on the front and rear, hood missing and all, after a stack up when the leaders came down pit road under our only caution of the day, and now he's holding up Bob Jones and Aaron Henderson. And James Silverfox, the defending Daytona 500 winner, is about to be reeled in by the leaders. Nicholas Romero and Tim Walsh, they dive to the inside, and they'll very easily maneuver their way by the Decepticon Ford Fusion out of Cybertron Motorsports. Now Silverfox is up to speed. They got the car repaired, so he should not be off the pace. He merely had no drafting help, which is why the leaders were able to get around him, so he may be able to merge in with this lead group. And if the opportunity arises, he might be able to get to the front of the pack and maybe get a miracle caution flag to get himself back on the lead lap. Also merging with this group will also help him to be able to reel in other drivers on the tail end of the lead lap, and he'd be able to pass them for position. You gotta also think that being in a pack is gonna help him as far as fuel mileage too, because cutting the air running in a draft all by yourself has gotta be using up more fuel consumption than if you're running in a pack here letting others cut the wind for you. Whoa! Nicholas Romero was on the outside. I'm not certain Tim Walsh knew that he was there, and he almost squeezed the Verizon Wireless Chevrolet into the wall, and that opens up the door now for James Qualls to come to the inside. But Qualls needs some drafting help down there. Carson Gumb's not really close enough, and the outside line's bunched up with Walsh, Romero, and Strigley. So the outside line will probably get the run down the back straightaway. They do indeed. Walsh clears. Romero clears. Strigley not so lucky, as now it's 3 wide. And Tim Walsh might be pitting. The 84 moving up the racetrack. 21 might be indicating he's coming to pit road. Well, guess not. Romero went awfully wide there through the middle of 3 and 4, and I thought maybe he was indicating he was coming to pit road, as now he and Walsh are going to try and split Callum Wood, the slower machine, and Callum Wood's blocking Tim Walsh. What's that all about? Walsh trying to find a way around, and Callum Wood, he is not letting Tim Walsh by. Walsh tried to dive low. Callum Wood dove low to block him. There's something going on there. I'm not certain what. And now they're going to make their way around the wounded machine of Jessica Shelton a second time. Whoa, Bob Jones nearly ran her over as he dive bombs into turn 3. Gingerly tiptoeing their way through the lap machines are the leaders. Tim Walsh finally getting clear of Callum Wood. Now Zachary Fitzwater and Aaron Henderson trying to get around Jessica Shelton and catch back up to the lead pack. Look at the lead Nicholas Romero got out to. He had no trouble getting around either Callum Wood nor Jessica Shelton, and he's reaped the rewards of it, opening up a huge gap between himself and second place James Qualls. He's got another car up ahead. Well, not another car. How about another few cars? You got Dougie Shears up here, Pichu London, Cody Lamas, Austin Mongold, Sam Rogers, and Austin LaPlante. All drivers that in some way got a bit of damage from our caution, our only caution of the day, but they're in a pack here, but I don't think they're running nearly as fast as the leader. The leader by himself is running 198 miles per hour. This 6-car pack isn't even able to hit 192. Well, they just hit 192. Just barely hit 192 in the entrance of the corner, so you can tell that they are definitely damaged and off the pace, but they're trying to make the best of what they've got and trying to at least pack race here to turn somewhat fast laps. But there you go. Nicholas Romero reels them in quickly, and this is going to get very interesting now, trying to watch the lead lap cars battle amongst the cars that more than likely are going to go down a lap. Here comes Tim Walsh, James Qualls, Bob Jones. They're all starting to catch up here to this group, and Carson Gum decides it's time for a pit stop. 68 comes to pit road. So will James McLeod, Aaron Henderson, and Zachary Fitzwater. Now, if memory serves me correctly, these drivers all stayed out under our caution flag. So the indication is they can probably make it somewhere between 40, I would say 38 to 40 laps on a tank of fuel. Levi McIntyre, another of the drivers that stayed out, he's coming in. Trying to remember if anybody else back here stayed out under that yellow, and I don't think anybody else here did. Wow, this is crazy here. That's Nicholas Romero up the middle. That's the leader. Tim Walsh trying to follow him up the middle. Joseph Srigley, the 55, on the inside. James Qualls. Oh, there we go. Some other drivers are going to come to pit road. Romero's going to get out of that hornet's nest. So will James Qualls. They're on their way to pit road. See if anybody from this group pits. And doesn't look like it. You got William Brock there. He is currently, I believe, 9th. We'll see where he crosses the line this time. I think he's still in 9th. 10th place, you got Emmett Juckin. 11th place, Stephen Pollard III, Charles Samper, Zach Rogers, Ryan Cooper, and Chris Dollerton all on the lead lap. Trying to get around the slower machines of Jessica Shelton and Callum Wood. Your current leader right now would be Joseph Srigley. Let's see if the 55 will come to pit road this time. Bob Jones would be in 2nd, and no, Srigley's not coming to pit road. Looked like he was starting to slow down, but guess not. He's going to stay out and lead another lap. Bob Jones also deciding to stay out. And Srigley is about to put the 21 of Tim... Oh, no, Tim Walsh is still out. I'm sorry. I thought Tim Walsh is actually coming to pit road. No, he's actually the leader. My apologies. I was looking at the wrong machine. So Tim Walsh is the leader. He's yet to pit, as are Joseph Srigley, Bob Jones. You got William Brock back here, way back here, but he is 4th now. 5th place under contest between Juckin and Pollard. 7th place then would be Charles Samper. 8th, Zach Rogers. 9th, Ryan Cooper. And Chris Dollerton would complete your top 10. But all these drivers still have to come to pit road. And it doesn't look like any of them are coming this time. These guys should be able to make it roughly about, I'd say 5 to 10 more laps than everybody else that just came to pit road. Those drivers that all hit pit road were drivers who stayed out under that last caution. Nicholas Romero was a driver who stayed out, so did Levi McIntyre, so did James McLeod, so we'll see if this thing does go into a long green flag run, potentially to the finish. Then it'll be very interesting to see whose strategy works out the best. The drivers who decided not to pit under the first caution, or the drivers who did. Tim Walsh, hope he enjoyed that time out in front, because now he's got Joseph Srigley and Bob Jones on his back bumper. That's second and third. James Silverfox right now, the first car 1 lap down. Officially, he is scored in the 33rd position. Silverfox could get lucky if all these leaders come to pit road and a timely caution came out. Silverfox would be back on the lead lap, I think. He's just got to hope that he then wouldn't have to come to pit road before that caution flag came out. But there still is the potential for that, too. So the fact that Silverfox is up here with the leaders in the lead pack is certainly a good thing. And a lot of different scenarios could happen that could really benefit him. Slower car of Seth Cole. The wounded machine out there just logging laps. Quite honestly, I'm not certain why he's still out there. This is a non-points event, since they don't run a full season in Snickers Cup anymore, and I'm not really certain why he doesn't just take that thing to the garage, because he's currently scored in the 36th position. He is the last car on the racetrack running, and barring another big wreck, which almost seems unlikely with the fact that the field is so spread out right now, I don't really see him having much hope of having even a semi-decent finish in this race. So I'm surprised he hasn't pulled his car behind the wall. Bob Jones looking to the inside of Tim Walsh as they're about to catch a group up ahead. A number of them actually including drivers who had to pit. Zachary Fitzwater, James McLeod, Aaron Henderson, and James Qualls. And you got Nicholas Romero just up ahead of that as well. As a matter of fact, those guys are just about to catch these guys, and that would actually be for position on track. You got Galligan, Citadino, Mason Powers, Ian Dutta. That is 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. And Romero right now is still on the lead lap in 19th place. This is actually a battle for position for Romero. And it would be for these drivers as well, but they've got the leader, Tim Walsh, beginning to run them down as he makes his way around the slower machine of Michael Norman. That puts Norman 2 laps off the pace, and 54 of Emmett Juckin just came and made a pit stop. So that's another of the lead lap cars that just came to pit road. Looks like Pichu London also. And now Tim Walsh goes to work on putting down drivers off the lead lap that had to come to pit road because they stayed out under the first caution. James McLeod now will go down a lap. Aaron Henderson, James Qualls, next on Tim Walsh's list. Then next will be Zachary Fitzwater. Bob Jones gonna try and use this opportunity to go 3 wide for the lead. Coming to the line, close call, but Tim Walsh is gonna get it in the middle groove. And now James Qualls gonna dive low, and Bob Jones gonna use the draft to go with him. Look at Tim Walsh rim ride the high side to go around the Mason Powers machine. Aaron Henderson now off the lead lap, going to offer the drafting help to Bob Jones, and oh boy, they're catching up on a slower group here, and oh my goodness, this is going to get a little bit hairy into this corner. Qualls back on the lead lap, Fitzwater back on the lead lap, Bob Jones now the new race leader as he cuts his way through traffic. Help from Srigley, and Ian Dutta will now peel off to pit road. So Bob Jones, I believe this is actually the first lap of the day that Bob Jones is going to lead. And it's at the halfway point. We have reached lap 50. We're halfway through the Great American Race. We're going to pause and take another commercial break. Some drivers still have to pit, so it may cycle things around here. But for now, we are still green flag racing halfway through the 12th annual Great American Race, Daytona 500. Caution waves for the second time here today in the Daytona 500. A heartbreak for Levi McIntyre, former Daytona 500 winner. The engine has let go on that machine. There was a big plume of black smoke on the back straightaway. He brought the car to the apron, but unfortunately, he is going to be out of the race. Levi McIntyre, debris on the racetrack, bringing out this yellow flag. His last lap had actually just been his fastest lap of the race. That's a tough break for him. He was still on the lead lap, as far as I'm aware. The leaders had all just come to pit road a couple of laps before. Tim Walsh, Joseph Srigley, Bob Jones, they had all been on the pit lane. This is certainly going to jumble up the field for sure. At the moment, Levi McIntyre was the last car scored in the lead lap in 17th, which means at this point we're going to have only 16 drivers still on the lead lap. After that caution flag coming out, we also have gotten a report that Sam Rogers in the 81 has taken his car behind the wall. He had a pretty wounded machine, and he finally has taken his car back behind the wall to the garage area as well. Tim Walsh, very quick pit stop. He'll be down and away. There's only one problem for him, though. Everybody else that's ahead of him, most of them would be on the tail end of the lead lap, so Tim Walsh may end up starting way near the rear of the field. Now, he would still be the leader, but he would have to start behind all these machines because they would now be scored on the tail end of the lead lap. Let's actually see who would, at this point, be on the tail end of the lead lap. There would be Davey Johnson in the 77, O'Neal Baldwin, Ty Dent, Jacob Lawler. And then it's kind of questionable about 21st on down. I don't know if they would still be in or not. So, a very interesting turn of events. It looks like we're going to have at least 16 cars on the lead lap when we do go back green, as the leaders will try and settle this out amongst themselves of who's going to restart where. Now, with the leaders taking the opportunity to pit here, question is, would they be able to make it the rest of the way on fuel now? Because we saw some drivers be able to go a full 40 laps, even though a couple of those laps were under caution, but they were able to go a full 40 laps on one tank of fuel. 40 laps, when we go back green, would be somewhere around 40 laps to go. So that's going to be a big question here. And it looks like all the drivers that were ahead of the leader, Tim Walsh, will take the opportunity. They will come to pit road. So that will more than likely confirm the suspicion that there will indeed be only 16 drivers who will still be left on the lead lap when we go back to green. Tim Walsh will be the leader when the green flag comes back out. Scoring monitor updates itself. Second place will be Srigley. James Qualls third. Nicholas Romero in fourth, and fifth place will be Zachary Fitzwater. We're going to step aside for yet another quick commercial break. And then we'll be right back for the restart here. Second caution of the day for oil laid down the back straightaway. Levi McIntyre retiring from the race after a blown engine. You're watching live coverage of the 12th annual Great American Race Daytona 500 here on the NNSCRA Sports Channel.
Hi, this is Dylan Young, driver of the number 2 Dr. Pepper Ford for Young Motorsports, and you're watching production of the Season 12 NNSCRA Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500 here on the NNSCRA Sports Channel. Also, be sure to check out the NRSL on 867-5309-858 channel down below in the description right here at the bottom of the thing here. And also, you'll check out the Season 5 NRSL Outback Xfinity Series and the Season 4 NRSL Youth Orlando Cup Series on that channel, and hopefully I will see you there. Hit that subscribe button as well while you're at it, and until then, I will see you guys later.
The green flag will be shown to us the next time around, and the lap machines will line up on the inside line. So this is going to be a very interesting restart. Now, as I look through here, you got Johnson Adino, Ty Dent, Davey Johnson. Those three don't really have much damage. They may be somewhat up to speed and may put some kind of a challenge out for Tim Walsh, Joseph Srigley, James Qualls to get around them. Jacob Lawler, Ian Dutta, though, both those Toyotas have sustained a pretty hefty amount of damage, but we'll see what happens here on this start. For Davey Johnson, Ty Dent, Jacob Lawler, John Cittadino is just untimely for that caution to come out because they had to go to pit road just a couple of laps before the yellow flag came out. Had the yellow come out maybe 2-3 laps sooner, they more than likely would have still been on the lead lap and at the tail end of the lead lap line. But as we get ready to go back to green, we gave you your top 5. Tim Walsh, Joseph Strigley, James Qualls, Nicholas Romero, and Zachary Fitzwater. Aaron Henderson lines up in 6th. 7th place, Bob Jones. 8th will be William Brock. 9th place, James McLeod, and Charles Sanford cracks the top 10 for the first time today. 11th place will be Zach Rogers. 12th is Chris Dollerton. 13th place, Emmett Juckin. Ryan Cooper runs in 14th. 15th will be Oreo Pollard, and the last car on the lead lap is Carson Gum in the 16th position. Green flag will come back out. We have a total of 33 drivers on the racetrack still, I believe. I'll confirm that as soon as I can. I believe the last car on track at this point would be Seth Cole. Actually, no, we would have 34 cars. Oh, and John Cittadino just wrecked Tim Walsh, and Bob Jones piles in. James Qualls is in it. Sanford, McLeod. What in the world just happened there? The leader got flat out taken out. Actually, let's pluralize that. The leaders got taken out. There is Bob Jones, Oreo Pollard, Charles Sanford, Michael Norman badly damaged, but that was all on the 72, it looked like. Cody Lamas now badly mangled. There's James Qualls. What was that? And the leader, well, there's going to be some drivers that are going to get back on the lead lap after this, I think. Well, no, only one. Ty Dent beat Joseph Strigley to the line. He's back on the lead lap now. Strigley's the leader, but what the heck was that? The leader just got put in the wall. And I think it started with the 72 of Cittadino, who is trying to get his lap back. But look at the carnage. Dougie Shear's damaged now. A lot of damage on the 51. There is Tim Walsh, who was the leader, coming back for the restart. There's Charles Sanford. There's Oreo Pollard. They were on the lead lap. Austin LaPlante's damaged. Another lead lap car in Bob Jones. Cody Lamas is now retired. Boy, I'm not really sure what to make of that one. Hopefully we can get an in-depth replay of what just happened. But the leader looked like he got flat taken out. But we'll see if that's the case. We're under caution very quickly again. Now for the third total time today here in the Great American Race, let's take a look at a replay of what happened as Joseph Strigley currently leads. Now, John Cittadino was definitely up to speed, it certainly looked like, as was Ty Dent. So it's not like Cittadino really had to get out of the leader's way. Now let's see if we can find out just exactly why that incident took place. Watch the 72. He's going to move up the racetrack. I think he thought the 5 might be getting a run on him, but watch how there's just, I don't really understand this. 21 moves down a little, but the 72 definitely moved up more than the 21 moved down. And then just heading into turn 1, Cittadino's car never turned. His car just went straight. Look at the evasive action by Strigley to avoid. And then everybody else, all the other leaders are just caught there, and Qualls has nowhere to go. There's Bob Jones. Norman runs into the back of Bob Jones' Dodge. Zach Rogers just barely going to get through, it looked like. Same for Chris Dollerton. William Brock got a piece of that. And there you see McLeod was involved. Charles Sanford back here along with Oreo Pollard. There's Austin LaPlante, Callum Wood, Dougie Shears. A lot of the, I would say maybe half of the lead lap cars were involved in that. And Tim Walsh, who had one of the strongest cars of the day, James Qualls as well, both collected in this one. I'm not exactly certain what the mentality was there. I don't know if the 72 had some kind of a problem, but whatever the case, that seemed like a wreck that could have very easily been avoided. And it has taken out a number of our top contenders for this win in the Great American Race Daytona 500. We're about ready to go back to green, though, and we'll see if these leaders are going to be able to salvage something. A lot of them had to come to pit road for repairs, and it has certainly jumbled up this field now with a little bit less than 40 laps remaining. Cars are going down the back straightaway now. They have doubled up for the restart. The top 5 looks much different than it did on our last restart, which was just about 5 laps ago. Joseph Wrigley is the leader. Zach Rogers now second. Emmett Juckins in third. Chris Dollerton runs in fourth. And completing your top 5 is Nicholas Romero. Also worth mentioning, Ty Dent got himself back on the lead lap after that wreck that took place, so he's lined up on the outside line. I believe he's restarting in the 8th position. Drivers that are out of the race after that, looks like only one driver has officially retired from the race, and that would be Michael Norman. So we're ready to go back green. We have 16 cars still on the lead lap. James Qualls the last of those machines. And the green flag ready to come back out here at Daytona with 35 laps remaining. Let's hope this time we're not going to have the slower lap traffic be a factor. And it looks like Wrigley will clear Davey Johnson. Now Zach Rogers trying to do the same as Davey Johnson has Jacob Lawler to his inside. That's actually a battle for position between the 18 and the 77, I believe. Yes, it is. It's the battle for the 16th position. And we at least made it down the back straightaway this time without a wreck taking place. It took us only till turn 1 for that wreck to take place on the last caution, as Zach Rogers now dives to the inside, and that will be the first time that Zach Rogers will be out in front here today. It's also the first time this weekend since Tristan Folks led in duel number, I think it was duel number 2, that a Dodge Dart has been out in front here at Daytona. They are really bottled up back there, though. The top 3, Zach Rogers, Joseph Wrigley, Emmett Juckin, have all been able to get away from the lap machines, but there you see the 84 of Nicholas Romero. He's trying to drive up the middle. 43 of Dollerton, the 5 of Ty Dent, the 11 of Aaron Henderson, 68 of Carson Gum, and 28 of Zachary Fitzwater are all in the lead lap, but they're trying to make their way around the wounded machines of Galligan, Lawler, and O'Neill Balvin. And whoa, Aaron Henderson sticks his nose down to the inside of fellow Toyota O'Neill, and he'll make it 3 wide as Ty Dent begins to free fall a little bit here. Now he gets boxed in from Sean Galligan. Got a lead change again. Joseph Wrigley going back to the front, bypassing Zach Rogers, and Nicholas Romero, who very quickly got through all that lap traffic, is now caught up here, and we have 4 drivers up here that are on the lead lap. 77 of Davey Johnson would like to be able to get up here ahead of these guys, maybe get a quick caution and get himself back in the lead lap. And look at the run that Aaron Henderson, Zachary Fitzwater get down the back straightaways. They caught the draft, and now they're up here in the lead pack. Carson Gum going to try to do the same, as now he will clear the 15 of Balvin, and he'll try and make his presence felt up in the top 6. Ty Dent, Chris Dollerton there as well. There's William Brock. He's trying to catch back up, but he did get a little bit of damage from that last incident. Trying to catch onto the draft of Jacob Lawler and get his way up there. Right now scored in the 10th position. There's Tim Walsh and James McLeod. They're 11th and 12th. 2 strong machines that were damaged after that last wreck. They're mired back here. 13th place, you got Charles Sanfer, who I who I think actually started on the inside line as if he was a lap down car on that last restart. Not exactly sure why. He is on the lead lap there in 13th. There you got Oriole Pollard in 14th. 15th place right now, Ryan Cooper, also damaged from that last incident, and James Qualls has actually taken his car behind the wall. So that's a tough break for Qualls. That leaves us 15 cars on the lead lap now. Bob Jones, Dougie Shears, Austin LaPlante, James Silverfox, as well as Cody Lamas and Callum Wood have all officially retired from the race as well, joining Michael Norman. Other drivers out of the race, if you just joined us, Levi McIntyre out of the race after his engine expired. He was running in the top 15 at the time. Sam Rogers, wounded race car, finally retired in 36th. And then drivers that retired out of the race near the very beginning of this event. Juan Hernandez, Dylan Poteet, Philip Goldberg, Gene Samper, Logan Wilson, and Trent Dunham. So that gives us a total of 26 cars that are still running, and only 15 of them are on the lead lap, and out of those 15, only about 9 of them are running fully up to speed and in this lead pack. Well, Chris Dollerton has now actually started to lose touch. There he is, trying to reel back in Ty Dent and Carson Gum, who are trying to reel in the top 6. Our leader right now, Zachary Fitzwater in the 28. Fitzwater failed to make the Daytona 500 last season, but this season looking pretty good as he leads the way, and we're having a couple of new faces up here at the front. We mentioned Zach Rogers. You got the 28 of Fitzwater, and you got Aaron Henderson, who's been up here near the front, but really hasn't been a car that's been able to get to the lead. Well, he's up here in the 5th position now. Joseph Strigley's been up in the top 5 for most of the day. Nicholas Romero actually took a turn out in front. So Zachary Fitzwater enjoying the view right now. And if memory serves me correctly, and I could be entirely incorrect in this, but I don't think Zachary Fitzwater has a single win in his Snickers Cup Series career. For that matter, I don't think Joseph Strigley does. I'm trying to look here. I don't think the top 5 or the top 6 have ever won a Snickers Cup Series event in their career. So we may not only see our very a new Daytona 500 winner, but we may see a driver go to victory lane for the very first time in their Snickers Cup Series career here today at Daytona. Things kind of settled out here at the front of the field, almost single file. Best battle right now going on for 5th place, Zach Rogers and Joseph Strigley, but Zach Rogers has Davey Johnson up high to help him keep that spot. Now here comes Aaron Henderson down to the bottom on Nicholas Romero. Trying to do some math in my head right now, and I believe out of the past 11 Daytona 500s that we have run, and I'm pretty certain that this is correct, 5 times Ford has gone to victory lane, 4 times Chevrolet has, and then 1 win for Toyota, 1 win for Dodge. At the moment, we've got a Ford out in front in Fitzwater, a Chevy running second in Nicholas Romero, a Dodge Dart, not a Dodge Charger, running in third, and then Toyota right now in 4th and 5th with Strigley and Henderson. And then another Toyota in Emmett Jucken, who is now caught back up to this lead pack. So Ford is looking for their 6th 500 victory, Chevrolet their 5th, and Dodge and Toyota each looking for their 2nd win in the Great American Race. Sounds like there may be someone up ahead the leaders may have to deal with. That is Ryan Cooper, who is on the tail end of the lead lap, just now making his way around the wounded machine of Jessica Shelton, who's been able to soldier on and runs currently in the 25th position, but many, many laps down. Joseph Strigley now to the inside line on Nicholas Romero. That would be for the 2nd position. Aaron Henderson, his fellow Toyota, is not going to dive down low and help him, though. Instead, stays up high and will help the 84 clear the 55 heading into 3. We have 7 cars up in this lead pack. Only 6 of them are on the lead lap. The 77 of Davey Johnson is actually the first car 1 lap down, right now scored in the 16th position. And if this lead pack can actually help him get up here to Ryan Cooper, he would move into the top 15. Looks like he may be able to do just that. So he won't finish on the lead lap probably with the way that the field is spread out, but he'll be able to have at least a top 15 to finish out this race in his first ever Daytona 500, and they are really wadded up now behind Cooper and Shelton, all trying to make their way through. Strigley's going to be the one that's going to get held up. He's got to wait for Davey Johnson to get by before he and Emmett Jucken can both dive to the inside. Jucken now dives down low, and now Strigley will make the dive to the inside. And doesn't look like any of them will lose touch with each other. This pack will all stick together, at least for now, it would appear. We're getting close to our sprint 20 to go, so we're going to take our final commercial break, and then we'll be back all the way to the checkered flag here as you're watching live coverage of the 12th Annual Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500 at Daytona International Speedway. Welcome back to the Daytona 500, the 12th annual Great American Race in the NNSCRA Snickers Cup Series. It's now our sprint 20 to go as Zachary Fitzwater hits the stripe, and he's about to put another car, or couple cars, a lap down, Charles Sanford and Oreo Pollard. Right now, Oreo Pollard running in the 13th position, I believe. 14th would be Charles Sanford at the moment. Zachary Fitzwater trying to make his way around on the outside line. You got the slower damaged machine of Seth Cole also here, multiple laps down in the 30. Fitzwater to the outside line will clear Oreo Pollard. Nicholas Romero will do the same. Aaron Henderson now doing the same thing, and that's 2 more positions for Davey Johnson to pick up. That will move him up to the 13th position, even though he is still a lap down in the 77. There you see him moving on by, and it should score him 13th place this time by. Let's see if the monitor updates itself, and indeed it does. Top 3 have broken away as Zach Rogers, Joseph Strigley, Emmett Jucken had a little bit of trouble getting around that lap traffic. And so now it's a 3-car breakaway at the front of the field. Still a Ford, still a Chevy, and still a Toyota, however. So all 3 of the manufacturers have an opportunity still at this victory. Dodge Dart, however, fallen back there, and we'll see if Zach Rogers can in any way catch back up. He's got Strigley there with him, Emmett Jucken. If these 3 can get lined up, they could certainly reel in the top 3. Right now, the battle's on for second, which is allowing Zachary Fitzwater this little bit of leisure time, this gap between himself and second place, and it looks like the outside line will prevail. Heading into 1, Nicholas Romero will take the second spot, with Henderson there in 3rd. For the drivers still on the lead lap, we got Fitzwater the leader, Romero's in 2nd, Henderson's in 3rd, Zach Rogers right now 4th, 5th Joseph Strigley, Emmett Jucken's in 6th. 7th place is way back. It's actually under contest between Carson Gum and Ty Dent. That's 7th and 8th place right now. 9th place, that would be Chris Dollerton, solidly in the top 10, and William Brock in his very first start right now running in the 10th position. We only have 2 other drivers that are currently on the lead lap at the moment, Tim Walsh in 11th and James McLeod in 12th, but they could get reeled in by the leaders very quickly. We can give you a full field rundown at the moment if you want. 13th place at the moment is the first car a lap down, the 77 of Davey Johnson. Charles Sanford right now 14th, Oreo Pollard 15th. O'Neal Balvin is 16th. 17th place just changed hands. Sean Galligan now moves to 17th. Austin Mongold down to 18th. John Cittadino's 19th, and Jacob Lawler runs in 20th place. Ian Dutta's 21st, 22nd Pichu London. First car 2 laps down now, 23rd is Mason Powers, 24th Ryan Cooper. Seth Cole is 5 laps down in 25th, and 6 laps down is Jessica Shelton. She's the last car running on the racetrack. Everyone else is out of the race. 15 laps to go when we hit the stripe next time by. Zach Rogers has reeled in the top 3. So now we got Ford, Chevy, Toyota, Dodge all up here again. And Davey Johnson, first car a lap down, right now scored in the 13th position. Could play a huge wild card into who could win this race. He's not going to be able to win this event, I don't think, unless some dramatic circumstances take place in the next 15 laps, but he could be a factor into helping push someone to the victory here, as Joseph Srigley now is caught up. So we got 5 drivers in the hunt for this win up in this lead pack, and more lap traffic just ahead. That is Tim Walsh, James McLeod, and the lap machine of Pichu London. Where are they going to go? Diving to the inside goes Zachary Fitzwater on Pichu London. They go 3 wide with Henderson and Romero may not really think that was the wisest decision, as he's going to get caught now behind James McLeod. He'll lose 3rd to Zach Rogers. He'll lose 4th place to Joseph Srigley, as Fitzwater and Henderson did a nice job getting through that. Aaron Henderson, we talked about earlier how he had to qualify his way into last year's Daytona 500. And in last year's Daytona 500, he finished in the 3rd position. And look where he is here in the closing stages 1 season later. Up in the 2nd spot in a race where he again had to qualify his way in. I would not be surprised if that's the same car they ran last year. He ran sports clips on the Toyota Camry last year, and would not be the least bit surprised if it's the same car that they drove in the 11th annual Daytona 500. Would not surprise me at all. And we have lost Nicholas Romero. He had a little bit of difficulty getting around Walsh, McLeod, and London. And now he's gotten back into the draft, though, and is going to catch back up. Joseph Srigley to the inside. You got Zachary Fitzwater, who last season he failed to qualify for the Great American Race. He made it in this season and looking very strong. Joseph Srigley just barely squeaked his way into this year's Great American Race by a splitter over Johnny Gardner in the first Budweiser duel. Zach Rogers, if I'm not mistaken, ended up getting involved in a wreck during the speed qualifying session for qualifying for the Great American Race. So you could certainly say that every single one of these drivers have had a rather adventurous road in getting to this point, and now they all have an opportunity at taking the victory in the most prestigious race in Snickers Cup Series history. And keep in mind, if they go to victory lane here today, they've locked themselves up a spot in the starting grid for the 13th annual Daytona 500. 19 drivers locked themselves into the Great American Race this season. Next season, it will be 21 drivers that can lock themselves up spots, as the winner of this event, as well as the winner of our Daytona 250 earlier, Joshua Michaels, will have a guaranteed slot in the starting grid for the 13th annual running of the Snickers Cup Series Great American Race. 10 to go next time by. Zachary Fitzwater has not really allowed anyone to get to his back bumper. They've been more content, it seems, to battle for second place amongst themselves. Srigley, Romero, Rogers, and Aaron Henderson. Davey Johnson's just kind of like, I'm here too. And now the inside line is going to get formed up pretty nicely there through 3 and 4. They may get a run on Fitzwater. Well, nope. Here comes Romero to the inside of Henderson. So as they continue to battle like this, that is allowing Zachary Fitzwater to kind of be the Dale Earnhardt Jr. of Daytona and pick which line gets the momentum. And he can keep both the inside and outside line at bay by about 2-3 car lengths behind him. 10 to go as we are now in the crunch time mode for the Great American Race. I would say if we get to about 5 to go, 4 to go, and the caution were to come out, the race would end under the yellow flag. And we've got some traffic up ahead. That's 10th place William Brock, as well as some lap machines. Lawler, Mason Powers, Ian Dutta, and John Cittadino. John Cittadino, a big reason why these drivers are running up at the front where they are. Tim Walsh, James McLeod, James Qualls, Bob Jones, they probably would have been up here if we hadn't had our last caution take place where Johnson and Eno squeezed the leader at the time, Tim Walsh, up into the wall, and several other drivers were collected in a melee wreck in turn 1. Where's Zachary Fitzwater going to go? The inside and outside line are both kind of blocked at the moment. He'll dive to the inside of Mason Powers now, and look at Romero. Romero's trying to find somewhere to get by Fitzwater. Tries going to the middle. That may not have been the best decision. I think that's the second time he's tried using the middle line. He's going to get boxed in badly now. And here comes Zach Rogers using the 18 of Jacob Lawler as a pick. At the line, it looks like Fitzwater, well, he may not lead this lap. Woo, boy, he just barely did. But Fitzwater now has to give way to the inside line, and Zach Rogers goes to the lead, but maybe not for long. Here comes Joseph Strigley to the bottom. And Strigley will go to the lead. William Brock, 10th place, now goes a lap down. 9 drivers on the lead lap with a little less than 7 laps to go. Davey Johnson, first car a lap down. He now moves into the top 10 as he bypasses William Brock. That was for position. Davey Johnson was all the way back in 15th. And since we went back green, he's worked his way up with this lead pack to bypass people and move his way into the top 10. Aaron Henderson now underneath him as he's trying to run down fellow Toyota Joseph Strigley. Fitzwater now back to the inside line. Zach Rogers on the outside line working with Davey Johnson. Nicholas Romero, a second time they've caught a group of machines, and a second time Nicholas Romero has made a rather dumb mistake of trying to go to the middle to pass for position and gotten boxed in as a result. He's still boxed in behind Lawler and William Brock. It's like he's going to work with the faster of the two machines, the 62 of Brock here. Well, he might actually be faster than Brock, and he almost clipped Brock in the right rear. He's got to find his way around this traffic quickly because he doesn't want to lose the draft off these lead pack. Fitzwater back to the lead again. That car is really good out in front, apparently. Didn't take him any time at all to get back by Joseph Strigley. And he goes back to doing exactly what he was doing before, keeping about 2 car lengths between himself and the second place car. Now Zach Rogers. Next cars they'd encounter Charles Sanford again, Oriel Pollard, and the 30 of Seth Cole. But Fitzwater, with the fact that he's running by his lonesome up front, he wouldn't have much trouble maneuvering around those machines, I wouldn't think. It'd be these guys that would have a little bit of difficulty trying to settle out their differences in double wide formation, trying to get into single file, so that way they can make their way by the lap traffic. Joseph Strigley now second. Henderson trying to take third place with the outside line. He succeeds. And now Nicholas Romero back up here in this lead group. Now we'll try taking fourth place around the outside of Zach Rogers. The Toyotas, they're going to work together. Nope, they're not. Nope, forget that. Aaron Henderson dives the inside of Joseph Strigley for the second position. It'll be 4 to go when we hit the stripe next time by, and I'm pretty certain they're going to catch up to this traffic. Seth Cole, Charles Sanford, and Oriel Pollard will be caught before we end up having this checkered flag in this race. Fitzwater still the leader. It's going to come down between 5 drivers, no doubt about it. Fitzwater, Strigley, Henderson, Rogers, and Romero, unless one of them has some trouble with these lap machines. Fitzwater will use the outside line to try and get around. Sanford and Oriel Pollard looked like they were going to oblige the outside line to him, but, well, Henderson's going to try and make a move to the inside, and now it's Pollard holding up Fitzwater, Sanford holding up Henderson, and look at Nicholas Romero. He's going to dive to the inside 3 wide on Seth Cole. He might make a big move heading here into 3. Well, nope, Aaron Henderson throws the block on him. And Henderson now will go to the inside 3 wide with Sanford and Oriel Pollard. Fitzwater's going to get boxed up on the outside line. New leader of this race, the 11 of Aaron Henderson. 3 laps to go. Fitzwater is really boxed in. So is Davey Johnson. So is the 97 of Zach Rogers, as Strigley now clears that group of traffic. Now Rogers will do the same. Fitzwater still has to get to the inside line. And it's a 2-car breakaway at the front. Then you got another 2 cars of Strigley and Rogers, and then you've got poor Zachary Fitzwater. There he is, just boxed right in there. Lawler now to his inside, and Fitzwater's going nowhere fast. Now he's going to go to the middle line and try and get through all this, but he's in big-time trouble for trying to get back up there and battle for this victory. You got Davey Johnson here up in the 10th position. Oh, William Brock's coming to pit road, it looks like. William Brock in the 11th position is coming to pit road. And I didn't even stop to think about the fact that we could end up having these drivers have some fuel issues. We went back green a little bit before lap 70. These drivers can make it roughly about 30 to 35 laps, I think, on one tank of fuel. Can these drivers make it? We've got 4 cars up here in the lead pack now. Romero, Srigley, Henderson now back to 3rd, Rogers unofficially in 4th. It'll be the white flag next time by. Fitzwater has cleared the lap traffic, but I think he may have run out of time to get up here. We'll see. Here we go. White flag displayed. Nicholas Romero, Joseph Srigley, Zach Rogers, Aaron Henderson. We're going to have our very first brand new winner here in the Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500. There will not be a repeat winner. And look at Fitzwater. Look at the run he's getting. He's catching back up to the lead group. He's going to have a heck of a run down the back straightaway for sure. Srigley trying to get a run here as he's trying to catch Romero. Here comes Fitzwater to the inside for 4th. I don't know if it's possible to work your way up from 5th place to 1st place, but look at the momentum he's got down the straightaway. Took 4th from Henderson. Going to take 3rd from Zach Rogers. Joseph Srigley on the back bumper of Nicholas Romero. Will he make a move coming out of 4? Here we go. Romero, Srigley, Fitzwater with the run. Going to go to the inside of Joseph Srigley. That's all she wrote. Nicholas Romero captures his first career Snickers Cup Series victory. It comes here in the 12th annual Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500. And what a run for Fitzwater. He moved from 5th all the way to 3rd in about half a lap. What a finish. Nicholas Romero, who at the midway point of the race, well, maybe for the first half to midway point of the race, was a dominant car out in front. Sort of faded back from view, made some mistakes with lap traffic, but now got out in front when it mattered most, held off the advance of Joseph Srigley and Zachary Fitzwater, and captures his first win of his Snickers Cup Series career here in the biggest race of them all, the Daytona 500. And what great runs for all those drivers at the top 5. Romero wins, Srigley 2nd, Fitzwater in 3rd. Zach Rogers will get 4th, and 5th place for Aaron Henderson. 2 Daytona 500s, 2 top 5 runs for that 11 team. Emmett Juckin, a great run for him in 6th place. Ty Dent, the pole sitter, will finish out the day in 7th. Carson Gum was 8th, 9th Chris Dollerton, the first car 1 lap down. Davey Johnson, talk about taking a bad day and turning it good. He'll get a solid top 10 run in his first start. Tim Walsh, 11th place for him. James McLeod will get 12th. 13th for William Brock, who had to make a pit stop there in the closing stages, but he only fell from 11th back to 13th place. O'Neal Baldwin was 14th, 15th Austin Mongold, 16th Sean Galligan. And then it was Jacob Lawler, Charles Sanford, Oriol Pollard, and John Cittadino completing your top 20. And the rest of the cars to finish, 21st was Ian Dutta, 22nd Pichu London, Mason Powers 23rd, and 24th place was Seth Cole. Apparently Ryan Cooper and Jessica Shelton both took their machines behind the wall before the finishing of this race. So, the winner of today's event, Nicholas Romero, which means we will see Joshua Michaels, our Daytona 250 winner, and Nicholas Romero, our Daytona 500 winner, both have guaranteed spots in the starting grid for next season's 13th annual Daytona 500. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed today's race here from Daytona. The next time you see these drivers at Daytona, it will be the 13th annual Great American Race. That'll be coming out within a month or so. Thank you all for watching once again. Congratulations to Joshua Michaels and Nicholas Romero on winning here this weekend at Daytona. And we will see you guys next time as we'll show you now the full finisher results from the 100 laps here in the Great American Race, as you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.